I'm Deana.
And I'm Suzanne, and thank you so much for tuning in to the Rise and Shine It's Hypno Time podcast.
With Deana and Suzanne.
That's us.
The purpose of this podcast is to help you along your healing journey, to become the very best version of you that you can be, and to create the life of your dreams. We want to give you the tools you need to succeed through personal stories, guided meditations, hypnosis, NLP, and self-hypnosis techniques, as well as interviews with experts in a variety of healing modalities, from energy workers and spiritual healers to chiropractors, acupuncturists, holistic medicine, and much, much more.
Yes, and we also want this podcast to be a place where people can come together, share stories, and be reminded that you're not alone. In fact, the healing journey is a lifelong journey, and we are just so thankful that you're choosing us to be a part of your journey and that we have you to be a part of ours as well. And with that being said, let's start the show.
I'm ready when you are. So welcome to Rise and Shine. It's Hypno Time with Deana and Suzanne, and we have a special guest all the way from California. What area of California are you in?
I'm in Southern California. Palos Verdes to be exact, overlooking the beautiful Pacific Ocean.
All right. We have Shelley Stockwell. Do you add Nicholas to the end of your name, or?
Sometimes, yes, Shelley Stockwell-Nicholas. I've got so many names, it's hard to remember who I am, just like your viewers.
Well, we're so honored to have you on the show today, and we were just wondering if maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you interested in hypnosis.
Sure, I'd love to tell you. First of all, I believe that everybody's hypnosis everything. In other words, I think that the most important thing about hypnosis is that you help people access who they are. And hypnosis for me was just that. I was a TWA stewardess. We called ourselves TWA Travel with Angels. And we had a wonderful lifestyle, and it was very, very fun, except I had one problem, and maybe some of your viewers have this problem. I was a sugar junkie. I would eat sweets and pass up real food, and sometimes I'd even take somebody's dessert off their tray when I picked it up and put it into the kitchen. Really a sugar junkie. And so I went to a hypnotist to stop eating so much junk food. And the hypnotist was actually, looking back, a terrible hypnotist, but I didn't know any better. And cost $25.
Oh,
and
wow.
I paid a little lady with big ratted hairdo and false eyelashes and fake fingernails. I paid the $25 to the receptionist, and then I was taken into a room where this funny little man sat behind a big desk, and he said, "How can I help you?" And I said, well, I'm a sugar junkie, and I want to stop eating so much sugar. And I tried by myself, but I've hallucinated cupcakes with tap shoes dancing, and I just can't stop. And so I got to stop eating sugar. And he said, "Come with me." And he marched me into a room, and he put me in a reclining chair. And he put a mask on me, and he put headphones on and tipped the chair back. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is bad. This is bad. I don't know who this guy is. This is bad. And then I heard this noise in the earphones. You know, it was kind of like, and then I heard a recording, and the recording said, I remember this well. This is a long time ago, 50 years ago or more. The recording said, "They're walking down a path," and there were sounds of birds. And then it said, "Focus your attention on the big toe of your left foot. The big toe of your left foot is now relaxing 99. The relaxation that started in the big toe of your left foot is now going to the second toe on your left foot," etc. All the way back to 0. Well, very soon I lifted the eye shade up, and the guy was nowhere to be seen.
Oh my gosh. Oh no.
Okay.
Oh my.
And he was gone. Okay, so I said, well, this is boring. So I thought I went to sleep. And then when we got to 1, the sound changed in the ears, and there was this guy's voice, this, "May I help you" voice. And he was, I picked up the eye shade, okay? He was standing behind a screen like the Wizard of Oz. And he had a microphone in his hand. And I remember what he said because it made a big impression on me. He said, "Don't eat sugar."
Oh, okay.
That's what he said. Don't eat sugar. And then he added something, which made no sense to me whatsoever. He said, if you had tar on your car, why would I have tar on my car? And you pour Coca-Cola on it, I never liked Coca-Cola, it would eat the tar away. Okay, that's what he said.
He was probably assuming that, soda was part of your...
I guess that's what he was assuming.
How did it affect you?
Well, I left there thinking I just threw $25 away. This was ridiculous. And then I went to the grocery store and I walked through the cookie aisle and started crying because I couldn't have any cookies. And so I didn't eat sugar for a week. And I went back to this funny little guy. I paid the lady with the ratted hair $25 again. He sat behind the desk. How can I help you? And I said, I'm salivating when I drive by See's Candy. And so you know the routine now. Same routine behind the screen. And you can imagine what the guy said. Don't salivate when you drive by See's Candy. And I didn't eat sugar for a year.
Wow.
Isn't that incredible?
It was incredible. So I want to tell everyone listening to this, even the world's worst hypnotist, and there are some bad ones, are good. Because you get the result you come for, because hypnosis works. It is a crazy, wonderful tool. And if you are lucky enough to go to a hypnotist, it will change your life.
I agree.
For sure.
So that's how I got started. And then I only worked with flight personnel, pilots and flight attendants, and helped them deal with stress and jet lag and issues that we had in that career.
Right.
And then I started hypnotizing people in the public, and it's been 53 years to be accurate.
Wow, that's awesome.
I was going to ask you, I knew you had been in it for quite some time. I thought I saw something on Hypno Thoughts Live where you were sharing. Didn't you even share a photo of yourself? What was that?
I've been showing a lot of photos, funny photos of myself with Batman and Robin and the Batmobile and Walt Disney and all these.
That was the one I saw, the one with Walt Disney. Yeah.
I've had a lot of encounters with interesting people over the years. A lot of my practice is with movie stars or television celebrities. So I have an awful lot of clients who come for not only hypnosis, but I'm also a psychic. And I became a psychic because I became a hypnotist. And what I discovered is if I put myself in a trance, I was able to bring forth very profound information from I don't know from where, but anyway, very, very worthwhile information. And so half the people come to me for channeling and the other half, it's called trance channeling, and the other half come to me for hypnosis. So it's been a great career. I've helped a lot of people. I've gotten to write books, and it's all good.
That's so
Sounds
awesome.
very interesting.
Yeah, and that was actually something I wanted to ask you about. Your spiritual counseling. How do you do that to help others?
Well, I have a belief, a presupposition, we say in hypnosis or NLP. The presupposition is that everybody, like I said, is hypnosis everything. And the reason you know everything is because you have different ways of viewing things. So, if you put your hands on your head, you know that you think from this place sometimes. That's where we call our brain. But actually, our whole body is a brain when you understand that. And the next center where all the neurons live is in your heart. And I like to call that, the empathetic brain. And then you have this other brain that's in your gut. And that's your emotional brain. That's what hypnotists call your emotional brain, your gut level truth. So we have that, but we also have, and every one of us, I believe, from my experience, has a higher self. An all-knowing part of your brain that knows what's right and wrong and knows to do the right thing for you. That higher self is always telling you to do the right thing. Don't eat junk food, don't drink alcohol, don't scratch your skin, don't whatever. And what I think is most interesting in spiritual counseling is that people come and really connect with their higher self. They're all knowing self. They're all gnawing self. Because when you listen to that voice, you become very, very awake. I mean, they asked the Buddha, they said, "Hey, Buddha, are you God?" And he said, "No, I'm just awake." And what wakefulness means is you stop being negatively hypnotized by your parents or by society or by your mates or your kids or your teachers or whatever, and you start positively hypnotizing yourself. And so spiritual counseling is really an outgrowth, or maybe the preliminary to hypnosis itself, because it has always been integrated with hypnosis throughout time. The earliest hypnosis script we know comes from the Ebers Papyrus, and that's over 5,000 years old in ancient Egypt. And the Ebers Papyrus hypnosis script says, you place a boy upon the stone, and you tell him the sacred prayer. I do not know what that is. And then you yell, "Hooey, hooey, hooey," 9 times, and he will do as he is told. So that's the first hypnosis script that we know about. But that was all part of their philosophical, spiritual, maybe religious belief system. Well, we're no different. We're just the same. We all have spiritual beliefs, and spiritual counseling helps you tap into what you believe. So if you believe in Jesus, then Jesus might talk to you or through you. Or if you believe in the Dalai Lama or Buddha or belly button lint, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you get to be wise beyond wise. And so a spiritual counselor is someone who keeps their boundaries clear and holds the mirror so you reflect on your perfection.
Yeah,
and you fall in love with someone.
Find out who you are, huh? Because
yes.
I think that's important with hypnosis, is that everybody understand that we're not here to counteract your belief system. If like you said, if you believe in Heavenly Father and the Son of God, then we need to do it within the confines of that and help you to just reach deeper into your own spiritual being. But everybody can experience hypnosis and benefit from it. It doesn't have to be.
It's inclusive.
Yeah, it's all inclusive.
It's very inclusive. And one of the things I like to ask people is, I always say, do you believe in God? And if they say no, and some do, I say, how do you like nature? Oh, I love nature. Well, let's just ask nature, the nature that's you and the nature around you, to bless you. It really doesn't matter the name you call this wonderful part of self. But that work, I call it higher self hypnosis. But it also is spiritual counseling. And the most exciting thing is when I speak at conferences, very often I will do a class called Channeling You Conduit. And I teach people to channel. And I can have had all over the world. I've had 2, 3, 4, 5, 1,000 people in a room, and they all channel. Now, what does that mean? It means that everyone tunes in to that wisdom that belongs to them and goes through them and might rise above them. But, it's like we're not really alone. And people think, oh, I'm so lonely. Well, you're not so lonely. You've got guidance. You've got a guardian angel. You've got spirit. You've got God. You've got whatever you believe in to support you. And you're never alone. Plus, you have 1,000 sub-personalities.
Right.
You're never alone. So anyway, that's kind of in a nutshell what the spiritual counseling means to me. But of course, it might mean something different to anybody. So we'll just explore that through past lives, future lives, between lives, whatever the journey might be.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. And I guess so you probably work with a lot of people who may be going through a spiritual awakening. And I was wondering if you had any advice for those who may be in the beginning stages of that, because it can be a little confusing and tough to navigate sometimes.
That's a great question. So there's a thing called the Kundalini Rising, and it's been written about in Sanskrit for thousands of years. And when people are becoming enlightened or opening to spirit or opening to their own possible babies, when they're doing that expansion, having fun at their own expanse, what happens is people are sometimes uncomfortable because it may be different than they were taught. It may be poo-pooed by someone, it may be physically weird. So, for example, when you have somebody who has their Kundalini rising or is expanding their awareness, sometimes they may suddenly go into an altered state, or they might see visions, or they might hear a voice, or they might suddenly just feel a presence, or they might physically feel like, oh, I have a headache. Wait a minute, it went away. That kind of weird stuff, you know. And it literally, in the Sanskrit writing, says that enlightenment happens through the central nervous system, and that it comes through you neurologically. Now, modern scientists would say, well, that Kundalini rising is just simply your vagal nerve, which is by up the top of your neck, that is, how do you say this? Activated, and that you're excited with visions or reality or whatever. Or some people might say, no, it's not the vagal nerve. It's the septum lucidum. And I'll show everybody who's listening. If you drew a line right here, straight in, go ahead and touch your third eye. If you drew a line straight in from your third eye, and you drew a line right down from the top of your head, it would meet in the middle of your head. So take your hands away and breathe right there to the middle of your head. And you can close your eyes and do this. If you breathe right to the middle of your head, you'll find this little place called the septum lucidum. And you might notice, you might see it or feel it or intuit it, but just breathe to it and you'll feel kind of an expanded awareness. And you might see white light, some people do, and if you have a problem, you can melt it away there. And then you can say to yourself a really interesting thing. I am opening and expanding my awareness in every way. I am opening and expanding my awareness in every way. And then you can just take a nice deep breath there and relax. And just know that every day in every way, you're just expanding your awareness. It's a beautiful gift. And when you come back and open your eyes in just a minute and look around, you'll see the world's more beautiful. So go ahead and open your eyes.
Very nice. Yeah.
The world's more beautiful. So it's probably both spirit and neurology, because what's the difference? I mean, we're all a miracle when you think about it. So the experience of enlightenment is different for every person. Some are discomforted, some are cool with it. Some people are like, am I crazy? No, you're not crazy. Now, sometimes if the Kundalini opens very rapidly, which usually can happen in hypnosis, but rarely. It can happen through holotropic deep breathing. It could happen in rebirthing breathing. It could happen, runner's high is a version of it.
Right.
It can happen many, many ways. It can happen when you see your best friend across a crowded room, some enchanted evening. You feel like you're electrocuted with love or vibration or whatever. When that happens and you are in this altered state of expansion, do not get upset. And if you're helping someone, don't be frightened.
Right.
I always tell my students, my hypnosis students, cancel your appointments and sit with them until they've come out of it. Because when I say come out of it, they won't speak, they won't communicate, they may shake and they may look weird. But when they come out of it, they're a new person in a positive way. It's ecstasy. They enter into the realm of an ecstatic experience. So anybody who's going through the Kundalini Rising, you'll do it your way, and you'll do it via your senses, your way. But the result is always wonderful because you start to fall in love with this life you're on, this earth walk.
How did you get involved with this type of practice? Did you always have these feelings about spirituality, or was it something that you developed or kind of worked your way into over time?
I was always curious, and I think curiosity is a tool for all of us. I was curious about, who am I? Like in Alice in Wonderland, the guy in the tree goes, who are you?
Right. Caterpillar.
Yeah, the caterpillar. And Alice answers him in a very interesting way. And I don't know if you remember this, but she says, well, I don't know, because I was a different person when I woke up this morning than I am right now. I've been many people all day long. So basically, that's what happens with all of us. We all become various people as we evolve. But I as a kid, I guess I had a good imagination. I guess I was very creative.
Right.
And that was a coping mechanism. In those days, it was not an enlightenment tool by any means. It was just a coping mechanism because I had a very crazy mother, so I had to, deal with that. And everybody here listening to this has had to deal with something in their childhood. And then, before I learned to think, I would have profound awarenesses. Like, I remembered a past life. I just remembered it.
Wow.
And that was really interesting. It was like, how could I have been there when I'm here? It just came to me. And then one time when I was a stewardess and I was on a layover, I was sound asleep and my dad, who was deceased, called my name and woke me up. And it was not a dream. It was what we call a lucid dream, I guess. He said, Shelley. And I was like, oh my God, my dad just talked to me. Mm-hmm. And of course, I thought I was crazy. But I knew it was my dad, and I knew it happened. And I told my husband, and he said, oh, that's cute, aren't you cute? Kind of thing. but then I read in Psychology Today that sometimes people who are having near-death experiences have encounters with deceased loved ones. So I said, well, maybe I was dying. No, I wasn't dying. I was just sleeping, and he woke me up. And literally, I think he woke me up. I think my father
just wanted to connect. I feel like my father passed away a couple of years ago, and I feel like he's very close by, and this life is short, and that I feel his presence. So
isn't that beautiful? And does he speak to you, or do you just feel his presence?
Well, I think, and this kind of falls in line with what you said. There's all different types of messages that we get. It can be a thought that just pops in the head. It can be a sound like hearing a voice. It could be a feeling that goes down through your body, or it could be an idea that starts to, come to your mind. And I always tell my students and my clients too, as well, to pay attention to what warms you, what feels good, what feels like it belongs, and recognize that in that there's a message. You need to be able to trust yourself beyond anybody else. So, I think that all of us get different messages and feelings in different ways, just like we all have different belief systems, but pay attention to what connects with you and makes you feel good.
Oh, I like what you just said. You said it so well. Yeah, it's interesting. I had a very weird experience too one time. My Uncle Hal died, my dad's brother, and the men in that family all died really young. Anyway, he died playing cards, by the way. He must have gotten a hell of a good hand. But anyway, my Uncle Hal died, and I called off schedule for TWA, and I went to the funeral. And the next day, I was called back on a flight. And I got on the airplane, and I was by the front door. No, it was 747, and there were no passengers. And I heard somebody walking down the jetway. I heard, the sound of somebody walking. Right. And all of a sudden, in the doorway was my Uncle Hal. Of course, he was dead. Right. But he was absolutely, I saw him, but I could reach through him. He was just, you've heard of ghosts? I saw my Uncle Hal. And he walked right up to me, and he said something that only Uncle Hal would say. He said, hello, Shelley. Now, nobody else has ever called me Shelley except my Uncle Hal. And then he walked past me and vanished into thin air. Wow. Yeah. And I stood there. I was like, I had never really seen a ghost, okay? And I remember the flight attendant who was on the airplane came up to me and said, you look like you've seen a ghost.
Wow. Oh my God. Wow. Yeah, I think you might have been born with some extra senses just by some of your experiences. I
don't know.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what really got me open to spirit, besides hypnosis, of course, which is that suggestion, opening and expanding my awareness in every way, was the suggestion formula. But what really did it was going to Esalen Institute and doing holotropic breathing, which is deep, sustained breathing to very provocative music. And that opened me to a whole realm of understanding that I didn't have before.
Well, we saw that in your information, and I would love to. Can you kind of give us an example of that holotropic, or maybe guide us through it?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. So holotropic breathing, that was a name given by Stan and Christina Grof. And he was Hungarian, and he did work with LSD. Now, it was outlawed in Hungary, then it was outlawed in America. He came to America, and he worked mainly LSD with prisoners and mental patients, and found that they had enlightenment experiences and changed their ways in positive ways through this. Well, he didn't want to do drug therapy anymore. He didn't want to do LSD therapy, but he noticed that when people were having enlightenment experiences, their breathing patterns would change. They would get very, very intense. They would do deep breathing, which is, big inspiration, big exhalation. And he noticed that the deep breathing by itself could bring about enlightenment experiences. And so I decided, I had a miscarriage. I miscarried twins. And I went to Esalen Institute because the class was called Death and Rebirth. And I thought, oh, that's perfect. That'll make me feel better, So I took this class, and nothing really happened. It was very pleasant and fine, and music, and we'd draw mandalas afterwards. And then on the last day, I was doing the breathing. It was supposed to be a 4-hour breathing experience, and I think I lasted about an hour, if that. And I remember not being in my body. I mean, and that's an odd thing to say, but people were pulling my body because I must have been scooting around on the floor. Okay, but my eyes were closed, and I was breathing to music, and I was being pulled to, so I don't run into other people, I guess. And all of a sudden, I just sat up and said, I got to get out of this room.
Wow.
And I walked out of the room at the Big Sur, California, and I just went and sat looking out at the ocean, and all of a sudden I understood every religion. I mean, it was like I downloaded what religion was, and I understood why gurus hit you with a peacock feather, or why people worship the sun, or every religion was flooding my awareness. And suddenly I was understanding why people have religion. Because they want to have the exact thing I was having happen to me. I was having a full-blown enlightenment experience. And after that, I could see auras. I could see whatever color was around people. I realized I had this power in my hands. Everybody look at your hand. In the center of your hand, right here, is a tremendous hand. Yeah, either hand. Okay. In the center of your hand is a tremendous amount of energy. Now, right. You can send it out to the people watching us right now. They'll feel it. They'll actually feel it. But you can do this with yourself. You rub your hands together. You make your hands nice and hot. And you bring up the energy of it between your hands, and then you take your hands apart. You'll feel they kind of expand. They don't even want to go near each other because you've now activated the energy that you emit. That's called Qigong, or energy.
That's a little bit of the pranic healing too when you activate.
Yes. It's funny when you say it's pranic healing, it's everything, because everyone renames all this stuff.
Right. I was just going to
say. There's thousands of names for Reiki or energy healing or quantum touch or whatever. And there's 100 million names for hypnosis also. Right. But it's all the same stuff. And the same stuff is you are activating through your central nervous system, through the power of word or energy, your best self. And so this kind of energy from the hands or from the fingertips, that has great healing power. And when you do it for yourself, you can just take that energy ball and put it on yourself. You start to feel your own flow. You become in the flow of your own energy. You can Reiki yourself or heal yourself or pranic yourself or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, they all have, you're right, they have all different designs. You can comb or clear or fix your aura if it's depleted, or, or figure out what's going on in your body. I know there's a lot of different energies out there, and everything's supposed to be made up of energy. So there's got to be something to it, huh, Shelley?
I think so. And I think what's really fun about this is the curiosity that makes us discover something. And the discovery is, who are you? Back to that cat. Who are you? and you are this. I mean, just think about this. You started out as an egg. Like, an egg in a woman's body is the largest cell in her body.
Wow.
An egg. Okay? And when your mother was born, you were in her ovary at her birth. A woman is born with her eggs in her baskets. You traveled as an egg through your mother's entire life until this magic moment when you went down that long, lonesome highway and met a whole bunch of little spermies. Okay, there were 100 of them that made it to you, the egg. They're all standing there with a bouquet of flowers and a box of candy. And they're all going, choose me, choose me. And you exercise your first moment of free will, maybe. But I think it is.
Allowing it in, yeah. The one
you choose your sperm to be yourself. Now, when you realize that you are the great creator of your own physicality, the egg chooses its sperm. When the egg, you, chose your sperm to be yourself, you murdered 99 other sperms immediately. Because you are the great creator and the great destroyer within your own structure. And throughout your life, your body is growing and killing and restoring, renewing, and balancing this biology.
Right.
And so throughout your life, you are energetically recreating yourself, and you grew up to be you, and you figured out how to get along with the big people, and your parents. You figured out how to get along with your siblings. And you've had to figure this out, or you would have died. The first person you had to please was the lady with the milk. If you didn't please her, you die. You have to please the man and the siblings so they don't kill you. You have to figure it out.
You have to figure out how to maneuver through life and learn the whole way through, don't we?
Exactly. You're so wise. And that's what happens. We're all learning. And that's why you need to stay, I think, you need to stay curious, curiouser and curiouser. And you need to keep allowing this acknowledgement of the miracle that's your very existence.
Yeah, that's.
You're still alive. This is you. This is your body. You're alive.
That just brought up a thought for me, because if, as the egg, then we're being carried, through our mother's entire life as well. Do you think that kind of has something to do with maybe generational trauma that people deal with, like from the family,
passing it down through genetics?
So I want to say, just from my own experience with so many clients, maybe. And the reason I want to say maybe, because see, I've done literally thousands of past life regressions with people all over the world. And Carl Jung said something very profound. He said the history of all life is born afresh in every one of us. You see, you may have generationally your great-grandmother's eyes or her feet or something. You may have inherited traits. You may have inherited ideas and thoughts and attitudes.
Memories.
But if the history of all life is within you, you can select what you want to grow from. If you're a Native American, you're going to say, my ancestor's a bear.
Right. You still have
my ancestors, the mountain.
Yeah.
And so it's the paradigm that you want to walk in, that you want to believe, that you're going to to hang your hat on. But the truth of the matter is, all roads lead to now. So whatever it is, if you say, I inherited this fear of fire from my great-great-grandfather because he died in a fire, that's a generational idea of humanity. But I could have inherited it from the volcano because volcano is my grandfather. Or I could have inherited from brown bear. Or I could have, see, it really has to do with your frame of reference. And all of these are stories. We're making up stories all the time. It's storytelling 101. And I always say that my life is a story I made up, because everything you tell yourself is self-hypnosis, and the story that you run in your brain is going to create what's going to happen next.
World around you, right? Mm-hmm. That's why it's important that we understand that we do have choices and that we have the ability to change our story at any given time if it's something that we, can recognize and truly work on. There can be many switches that go on and we can create our own story. That's why we're here, is to learn and observe and create and make choices, right?
I think so. I think so. But this generational question, that was really a clever question, because we are generational or degenerational.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you something, if you don't mind. Whenever you do get into the zone for channeling, is that something that takes a long time for you, or can you just take some deep breaths and get a channeled message?
Okay, so I've had the privilege of channeling with lots of channels. Okay, one of my first experience was, I was a new channel. I just started channeling my guides, and I was invited to speak in Egypt below the pyramid. And I was with all these really famous world-class channels, and I was a new channel. I didn't know anything about it. I was just doing it, right?
Yeah.
And so the way I learned to channel was, I saw a lady channel one time at the Whole Life Expo, and all she did was do a prayer and let out some ohms, and then her voice got funny. And at the time, I sat there like this, and I went, this is nonsense. This is just hypnosis. This is just a sub-personality. This is nothing. This is, this past life. I just was poo-pooing it. And so I came home and I said to my secretary, hey, guess what I can channel? And she said, okay, do it. And so I did what I saw the lady do. Okay, and the lady just did a prayer. So I did a prayer. I said, make this for my highest good. And then I let out some ohms, which now I understand the ohming vibrates the vagal nerve, which causes you to relax. Okay. And then my voice got funny.
Huh.
And I was really surprised. But my secretary was most surprised, because the voice turned to her and said, by the way, last night when you were in bed with your husband and you were wondering whether you should have a child, but you're worried about having back pain because you have a back problem, don't worry about it. It'll be just fine.
Wow.
Well, I wasn't in her bedroom the night before, and I didn't know anything about her back pain. It was like, and so I'm thinking, I'm doing this voice just by praying and by ohming, and I'm thinking, this is stupid. This is like, I just did I make it up? But it doesn't feel like me, but maybe I made it up. So that's how I do it. But it's so easy to channel. All you have to do is give yourself permission, and however it comes through you is how it comes through you.
I've always heard with those type of situations, though, that you want to protect yourself, because just like yin and yang, good and bad, there can be misleading, maybe guides or channeling or spirits. So you do want to protect your territory and make sure that you're doing it with love and with purpose, and with guidance that would be healthy and benefit everybody, right?
I don't know the answer to that one, because I don't believe in evil spirits. I don't believe in it. But what I do believe is that it's good to do a prayer, and my prayer is always the same. My prayer is that lady's prayer, which says, bless me on all levels, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and let all these teachings be for my highest good and this person's highest good and the good of the planet.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Well,
let me
that's
be a clear conduit of love and light. That's what I always do. So because that's just intrinsic to what I do, I never think about, if a client comes to me and they say, I have an attached entity, and they believe that because that's a story they told themselves, I'll send it to the light and they'll feel happy. And
Right.
that's okay with me. But personally, I don't believe in attached ickies. I think attached ickies are a story you tell yourself. And I don't think that we need to do this fear-driven approach to this work because we're all spirit.
Right.
So I don't come from that paradigm, but I know some people do. And if they do, I'll work with them for sure. But, some people scare themselves half to death. Then there's another group of people that they hear voices and the voice is stupid. Okay? The voice is flat out stupid. Like this one woman in Hawaii, her guide told her that if she took papaya seeds and put it in the blender and drank it, she wouldn't get pregnant. And now she has a little papaya. That was stupid.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
So what you have to do is you have to check this out with the higher self, the all-knowing part of you, that, we have to be savvy. Otherwise, we'll be hypnotized by our mothers and by our fathers and by our teachers and by society and by the news media. We have to say no and check it out, because otherwise we feed ourselves fake news.
Right.
And that's, goes back to doing what, resonates with you too. And I was also wondering if it would be possible maybe to get a channeled message for our listeners, or...
Sure, why not? Okay, so we'll do a little prayer. Bless us on all levels, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Let all these teachings be for our highest good and the good of the planet. I open myself to channel, and let me be a clear conduit of love and light, and hold the mirror steady so that these two beautiful women and the people watching this can be happy and healthy in every way. Amen. A woman and a life. Hello, everybody. I'm Kendra. Nice to meet you. I am an angel, but I don't have any wings. Very happy to meet you, ladies. What's your name, please?
Deana and Suzanne.
Hello, very nice to say hello to you. You are very beautiful, both of you, and very curious. When Shelley talk about curiosity, you are the epitome of curiosity, which is very nice. Very, very good. So my message to all of you and the planet at this time is that you're never alone, as Shelley said, because the Spirit is watching over you, and each of you, every single one of you, from my point of view, has your own guardian angel. It is a vibratory force field that is behind you and watching over you. And I know that because if you didn't have the angel, you wouldn't be in structure. All right? Your biggest challenge as a human being is you are dense. And what I mean by dense is your body is a stifling unit upon the vibratory energy that is your natural self. You are a vibration first and a structure second. The energy of vibration, that is your energy, has a great influence on others, and the kindness that you show toward others can be of great service to humanity at this time. Because at this time, there are energies that are confused and misguided and not treating respectfully other people. And every human being on this planet deserves a kind of respect, as do the animals and the elements and all beings. I am from India, so my philosophy is quite Indian in manner, but my understanding is that you have another framework, and everyone listening, you are to honor your society and your framework, but you are first to honor your energy. And if you do so, you will find that the world will be very beckoning, very warm, and very welcoming. You have any questions, young ladies?
that was just such a beautiful message. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wow.
I do want to say that you two are an interesting pair of friends because you have very different vibrations and ways of communicating, and you have to really take time to listen. So I would tell you the best way for all of the people watching this and for you to be good listeners. Would the two of you please look at each other and understand that you're looking at a bubble that has a different frequency, all right? But you want to be good friends, which you are, and you want to work well together. So send a rainbow bridge from your heart to theirs. Just imagine a little rainbow bridge coming from heart to heart, and just know that the hearts can touch, but the bubble remains sound and singular. Understand me?
Yeah.
Now, the bubbles are not completely only earth connected, they're also sky connected. So take a deep breath. And even if your hearts are connected right now, you are also connected to heaven and earth. Understand me? So you're part of a web of life, but you are unique in your own bubble. Pull back your rainbow bridge, please. And then come back to your watchers. Yes, very good. So that is a very good way to get along with people, to not expect them to be you, because that's when humans get in big trouble. They think everyone has to be themselves, and they are very bossy about it. That is all. Goodbye.
Wow. Thank you.
Okay, shake your hands, please. Shake, shake, shake your hands. Let your hands hang and drain. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Good. Come back, come back, come back.
Very
Wow.
nice.
Can I just say, like, there was a part in there where I almost felt like overwhelmed with emotions, like there was an angel with us. I don't really know how to explain. Yeah.
You'll feel it sometimes, like the hair rises up in the back of your neck, or there'll be a chill that goes through you, or the hair on your arms might raise up. That's pilometer response. And it happens because spirit is present. In other words, you activated your own spiritual self through the vehicle of a spirit.
Wow. That was so,
Congratulations. Good for
that was
you.
amazing.
Thank you so much.
So whenever you do that, can you remember what you just said, or does you have to play that back, or
Well, let's put it this way. Do you remember the beginning of our conversation here on this interview?
Mhm.
Kind of. I mean, you sort of do, but you sort of don't. You know what I mean?
Bits and pieces, yeah.
Because that's how memory is, okay? So I have the exact experience with spirit when she's coming through me, although I feel I'm not talking. I know that's weird, but I feel like I'm just listening like you are.
I got
And so if something thrills you, it's going to thrill me too through my nervous system. However, if I'm channeling for a client and the subject matter that the channel is talking about, or I channel a lot of dead people, okay, so the dead person is telling them whatever, what it was like to die and where they are and what blah blah blah, I sometimes get bored, so I feel like I'm taking a nap.
I'm like, wow, that's interesting.
My eyes are open, but I feel like I'm taking a nap, so I may not remember, just like a dream. But if it's something of great interest to me, Shelley, personally, I remember every word of it because, wow, that was like amazing. Now, I've done some amazing channeling where the client is channeling and I'm channeling, and the two of us are channeling to each other. And it's life-changing. And the person I channeled with remembers every word, and I don't remember one word. So it's very odd. It's kind of like memory in general, I guess. Some things we tuck away and some things we don't.
Like selective memory.
Now, I channel hundreds of entities. And I always say channeling is a dead entity job because it's very weird. But over the years, people show up with a box with, this is my grandma's bones, and ashes, and they put it on my lap, and all of a sudden this person will come through me, which is weird. And then sometimes the channeled guide will say something I don't agree with.
I gotcha.
And when that happens, and I try to interfere, I go, this is ridiculous, right? I'm saying to myself. My Kendra is usually my dominant guide. She will go, excuse me, but I will not continue. Shelley is interrupting. Okay, well, all right then. All right then. So then I have to back off and shut up.
Just allow it.
Just allow it. It's an interesting process. But see, it's like anything else. This is a subjective experience for everyone. And your best bet, if you're going to be a spiritual counselor or train others to be spiritual counselors, which is what I do, you want them to have their own way of doing and their own way of understanding, because their way is correct for them. So if I tell you how I do it, that's cool, but you're going to do it your way, which is the way to honor the most.
Exactly. I agree with that.
Yeah. Wow, that was so amazing. Thank you so much for that experience.
You are welcome.
And maybe we could switch gears a little bit, because you do so many interesting things. I was reading somewhere about your experience with automatic writing and hieroscripting. I've never heard of that word before.
That's because I made it up.
Okay.
And you're good at that. You've got some really cute little words.
Yeah, and phrases.
We'll have to go through the list of them so that people
Yeah, so one of my early books, I've written 25 books, but
great.
one of my early books is called Automatic Writing and Hieroscripting, and it's tap unlimited awareness, basically. And it's just full of exercises where you either doodle, you just doodle, or you actually write whatever comes up. And it comes up not necessarily through consciousness, not through being aware of what you're saying. In other words, you can, the instruction is, don't think, analyze, edit, or judge. Just write or doodle the first thing that comes to mind. So if you have a piece of paper handy, you can just take a piece of paper and a pen, and you can just doodle. Just doodle. I mean, I'm going to take a piece of paper right now. I'm going to just doodle a picture. And while we're talking, let's talk about something wonderful. Let's talk about what makes you happy. And while you're talking about what makes you happy, just doodle. Just doodle. You can look at the paper or not. Just doodle. Whatever makes you happy, just doodle. Doodle dandy. I'm a doodle dandy. Okay, and just let the drawing or the doodling doodle itself. And then if a word comes up, you can write the word down, and then write the word that comes to mind if it does. And then take a deep breath, let it out, and hand your doodle to each other, okay? Hand your doodle to each other. And let's see how you're doodling. If you look at each other's doodle, you might tell each other what you notice about the doodle. So what did you notice about Suzanne's doodle?
Well, she's got a lot of personality, a lot of design, a lot of different types of curves and points, and then a lot of it involves nature. It looks like waves, flowers, sunshine, moon, a heart. And is this me?
Those are just squiggles.
Okay, and then it says nature and gratitude.
Perfect. Okay, so now hand the picture back to her and let her look at her own for a second. And what do you see when you look at your picture?
I just see.
Forget you drew it. Just
it's cute.
I just feelings of gratitude towards nature is
perfect. Okay, now look at Deana's picture. And what do you get when you look?
Well, my
at her
pen wasn't writing at first, so I kind of got.
Well, that's okay. It doesn't matter. That may be part of it. Maybe it wasn't supposed to write.
Maybe
so what do you see when you look at hers?
I see like big and bold and something that stands out from the rest, I think.
Cool. Very good. And now look at your own picture, Deana, and see what you see in it.
She had a pretty good description. It is kind of big and bold. It's almost like it has an affirmative message, but at the same time, I don't know, but I'm here, kind of thing.
Nice. And so anyone watching this who did the exercise with us, look at your own picture and you make up a story. I'll show you my picture. And what do you girls think about my picture?
Curious, curious.
Oh, that's so cool. I don't know. I'm thinking of like fire or like a phoenix or something. I don't know.
You definitely got a lot of personality going on.
Yeah.
It almost looks like a dragon or something too.
It does almost. It almost looks like something flying to me when I look at it.
Like
almost like an eagle or something, like a big bird or something.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that would be higher scripting. That's one version of it, where you're actually drawing from the unconscious or the inner self. You're not thinking about it. You're just playing, because you're always communicating, whether you're awake or asleep.
Right.
This is just another way of capturing.
Now, I've heard too that when you're doing the automatic writing, one of the benefits is as you write, it's almost like pouring out a picture. You're emptying your mind or your thoughts or your images, and more come. So,
well said. I think that's true.
For a period of time, then you can get messages that you never even knew you had in there. It's almost like
right.
The conscious mind, and then more coming up.
So if somebody is grieving who's watching this because they've lost a loved one, even a loved pet or a loved anything, what you can do is you write their name at the top of the paper, and then you do just a little meditation or prayer, or let out some ohms, and then pretend, and I say pretend that person or that entity is writing you a letter.
Wow.
Don't think, analyze, edit, or judge, just write and see what comes up, because pretty soon you will be getting messages from spirit. It's very interesting. I did a lot of that on television. I was on the Phil Donahue show once, and I remember the whole audience was all writing messages from deceased loved ones, and they were like, oh my goodness. It was like,
that's amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. It is cool. We know everything, even though we know nothing.
Oh my God.
We just kind of got to dig around and see if we can find it, huh?
Exactly. And trust, like you said earlier, trust the process, because this is called growth or enlightenment or it's called you. Yeah.
So you've got just so much to share, and this has happened with several people that we've been interviewing. They go into a little bit of their personal story and share some things, and you can tell you can go into great depth. So we may have to have you on again sometime soon.
Yeah, part 2.
But what I'd like to ask you is, I know that you've got a lot of books and projects that you've been working on. Is there something that's new or exciting for you right now that you want to kind of share your passion for, or the beginning, or whatever?
Well, I'm writing 4 books simultaneously, so it's kind of
Oh.
a crazy question. Okay, one is called Talk to Your Brain.
Okay.
And it really is a very important book, because a lot of people don't talk to themselves consciously. They forget how they're programming the next thing that happens. So that's a really good book. The next thing that I've been really smitten with is I do forensic hypnosis, working with the police, helping a victim of a crime or a witness to remember. Well, it was called forensic hypnosis, but now they're calling it cognitive interviewing. Same thing, new name, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. But in any event, it's very, very helpful. But the thing that's beautiful about cognitive interviewing or forensic hypnosis is you learn, as the forensic hypnotist, to not lead the witness.
Right. Very important. Right.
And this is a real skill set for anybody who wants to help anybody, or anyone who wants to communicate. So often we are so fixated on our own story that we want the other person to live our story or speak our story or understand our story. And folks, it's never going to happen. The only thing that will happen is if you're really a good listener, you can hold the mirror steady so that person can reflect on their own perfection. But the biggest lesson that hypnotists have to learn and humanitarian people have to learn is to get over themselves when it comes to communicating with another person. Because folks, there's not another person like you, and it's very important. So that subject matter is quite interesting to me, to be a forensic type communicator.
Me
so
too.
that book
too.
is well written, I think. And then I also am writing a book that I've really been smitten with, and that is, it's a neurological book, and neurological. And how do you stay logical when you understand your neurology? How do you access your vagal nerve? How do you communicate biologically? Because everything you say to yourself creates biology and chemistry. You are the alchemist. If you say no, 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 everybody say no, 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 no. You feel yucky, okay? And say yes, 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 and you feel good. There's a frequency in your words. And so I'm writing a book about the vagal nerve. I don't know what it's called yet, but it could be Talk to Your Brain. It may be part of that book. But that's of great interest to me. But my latest book is Spiritual Counselor's Secrets. And it also has it's a thumb drive course that you can take at home. It's a 50-hour class that teaches you how to be a spiritual counselor, which is very, very good. I did it with my dear friend Kathy Kennedy, and we just had the best time. And a lot of our friends were on programs with us on Zoom that we recorded that are part of this class. And so you get 50 hours online on your own computer on home, and you learn to do the spiritual work. And then also a lot of my books are on hypnosis, most of them mindfulness, hypnosis, NLP. I just one of those books is going to be translated into French, so that's kind of cool. And one of them is already in Russian.
Very cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Did you see that little mashup? When we were at Hypno Thoughts Live, we had about 20 of you, and you were on there and shared some of your verbiage, some of your words that you put little plays of action on there. And,
do you know what's really funny? I saw it and I didn't see myself. I must have turned it off before I got to myself.
Yeah, you were on there. I think you were even holding up one of your new books. Whatever you had last year.
That's cool. I'll have to look at it again and admire myself.
Yeah. And you use some of those neat little words that you combine. So that's fun.
Yeah, I love it.
You want to go through a quick little list of a couple of them?
Okay, what are they? Am I supposed to make them up, or you're going to make them up?
No, the words that you use in selling your books or communicating your different types of modalities. You've just got a couple of catchphrase words that you use.
Gosh, I have hypnosis everything.
Yeah, that's right. I started with we're hip and we gnosis everything.
There you go. That was fun.
And I told you that I don't know if I told you, but I'm a small medium at large.
That's good.
A small medium at large.
And today we've already covered that we're having fun on our own expanse.
Yeah, there you go.
Those are so cool.
So, I do love words. I think words have power.
They do.
Just like when we said the yes and the no, you change your biology with the words you use. And it's not the words you use out loud, it's the words you say to yourself.
That's true. Those are the most powerful.
It is. It just and in my friend, and the words of my friend Spencer Hum, what you say creates your possible babies.
I remember when I used to wait on people many, many years ago when I was young, and they'd want sweet tea, and they'd give me the order. I'd like sweet tea, and I'd say, "Thanks, you're a sweet tea too."
That's cute.
Or I have 7 kids, and I'd give out all their names and their ages, and then I'd say they're spaced out, just like their mother. So I can kind of relate to those plans.
So how did you deal with 7 kids?
I don't know. I'm still doing that. I got 14 grandchildren now.
Oh my goodness.
It's a lot of fun, though. It's a lot of fun. They, it takes a lot of energy. You put out a lot, but you also get a lot back.
You've been a very busy girl.
Yeah. Apparently, I don't mess around when I mess around. That's another one I used
to say. That's a good one. Okay, so if people want to get in touch with you or check out one of your amazing books, how would they get in touch with you?
The easiest way is to go to hypnosisfederation.com. It's on the web, www.hypnosisfederation.com, and there's a list of my books and my CDs and my DVDs, and it's also Ask Dr. Shelley, so you can just, if you have any questions, and my email, I'm going to give you my email. It's ihf@cox.net, ihf@cox.net. I'm very accessible. I want to be available. I feel like my job, this is a self-assigned job, is to support all of us in the good work we're doing.
Very good.
And hypnosis is the best tool I know to change the world one person at a time for the goodness.
Exactly.
I love that. That's so awesome. And before we wrap up today's episode, we do have a little segment for our Fast Fun Facts, where we ask you a few quick questions so our listeners can get to know you on a bit different level. So are you an early bird or a night owl?
Oh, definitely an early bird. I was up this morning at 5. Sometimes I'm up at 4:30, but I'm hypnotized. I'm hypnotized to write books when I wake up. So as soon as I get the message that it's time to get up, I don't care what time it is, I have to go to my computer and write. Otherwise, I could never have written books like this. So
very good.
I'm an early bird.
I love that. That's awesome. I'm an early bird too. Maybe I'll get up and start writing and see what happens.
Yeah, it's really great. Nobody bothers you in the morning. Nobody's coming in. The pets are asleep. The phone's not ringing. I mean, it's very good time.
Right.
It's awesome. Do you know your zodiac sign?
Oh yes, I'm definitely a Pisces.
Awesome. I have a Pisces rising. So
yeah. Scorpio.
Ooh, a Scorpio. Woo, woo, woo. Okay. So, as a Pisces, I think I have a lot of Aries, or I would never have gotten anything done.
Got it. And what is one song that can just hype you up no matter when and where you listen to it?
Chantilly lace and a pretty face and a ponytail hanging down, a wiggle and a walk and a giggle and a talk. Woo! Makes the world go round, round, round. There ain't nothing in the world like a big-eyed girl. Make me act so funny, make me spend my money, make me feel real loose like a little blah, blah.
I love it. That's like the best answer we've gotten so far, I think.
We didn't have anybody sing it.
Well, you missed out.
I know. And what is exciting you and lighting you up the most in life right now?
Well, being with you right now is lighting me up. What excites me and lights me up, I think, is just that I'm alive. I think that's a total miracle. So I don't know why I am so lucky that I was born in Torrance, California, and not in Saudi Arabia or some terrible place for women. I feel so blessed to have had all these privileges as a human being. I mean, I've never gone hungry, except when I was pregnant. I've never been, I mean, I've been a little sick, but I've never, been on death's door, really, I don't think. I just have been very blessed. I've had a lot of wonderful friends, and it just lights me up. I know what lights me up. One thing that really lights me up, because I'm an artist, so I like to paint portraits. And I love I love animals' faces too, but I love to paint portraits of people. Because it's the weirdest thing when you think about it. Every human being has 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth, and some ears, ideally anyway. And yet they all look different.
Yeah, you're right.
That's so weird.
That
Isn't that weird?
It's amazing, actually, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you paint those two
I was
portraits
just gonna
behind you?
ask.
Yeah.
I did. See, I'm doing a series of laughing people. I just
Oh,
had
I
a
love
one
that.
I just had a one-woman art show, and so I painted Princess Diana, and I've got 50 of them because I make these decks. They're affirmation decks with my
That's so
art.
cool.
And so a person, when a client comes, they pull a card, an affirmation card for the day, and it's one of my pieces of art with an affirmation. So I did that. It's called the Me deck. This is going to be the Joy deck.
I love it.
And so
That's
the
great.
Joy deck, it has laughing horses and laughing dogs and laughing kids and laughing everything.
But you
And
are
so I've just been
definitely-
painting laughing
I love
because
that.
I started it during this whole, whatever you want to call this Wuhan hysteria thing.
Yeah.
And when it happened, I said, what can I do to uplift myself? Well, I'll just paint laughing people.
There you
I
go.
love that.
Smart. You're a smart
That's
woman.
awesome.
Yeah. And you are so full of talent.
Yeah,
Thank
those are
you.
amazing.
So many different gifts and talents, and you're very, very creative. You should be. And I agree with you with the blessing part. You know, I tell my clients that all the time. We're in the top 2% of the world with running water and shelter. We just have so much that we take for granted, and it just is very important to have gratitude.
Absolutely. And with that being said, if you could leave our listeners with one nugget of wisdom, what would that be?
One nugget of wisdom. Well, be yourself. This is not original, but be yourself. Everyone else is taken. And and this is my nugget. Put your hand on your shoulder. Put your other hand on your shoulder. Give yourself a big hug.
Aw.
Change hands. Change the
Wait.
fold. There you go.
Oh my.
Give yourself a big hug. Put your head on your hands. And just close your eyes for a minute and think to yourself, I love me. And so it is.
Aw.
And so it shall
That
be.
was great. Thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for this amazing conversation. It's been so much fun. And it's been such an honor to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Likewise, a pleasure
we're
to be
gonna-
with you.
We're going to be there this year again, HTL Live. We're doing a little presentation ourselves, but we're looking forward to hanging out with you a little bit more.
Yeah.
Good. I'm doing actually a 2-day pre-conference class there at Hypno Thoughts Live, and I'm certifying people as coaches. So
Very
if
good.
you want to be a hypno coach, there's a 2-day class prior to the conference, and it
Right.
should be a really good experience for everybody because they'll coach themselves as they learn to coach other people.
There you go. That's what it's all about.
Okay. Be
Thank
happy.
you so much.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Rise and Shine It's Hypno Time podcast. If you found some value in this episode and enjoyed it, please consider liking, subscribing, and giving us a 5-star review. Most people may not know that interacting with our content and our channel helps us to continue the work we're doing and reach more people. And we just want to thank you again from the bottom of our hearts for being such a loyal listener. And don't forget to tune in next week and every Tuesday for the latest episode of the Rise and Shine It's Hypno Time podcast with Deana and Suzanne. See you next week.